afternoon. My name is Dan Hershberger, if I haven't met you yet. And even if I've met you, I won't remember your name in an hour from now, so remind me. What I'm going to talk about this afternoon, give you a little history about the trailer itself and talk about the early days of motor camping. We all know the Tin Can Tourist was founded in 1919, and essentially I represent the first decade of the organization. Talk a little bit about the trailer first, and then we'll go through some of the artifacts and talk about the manufacturers. This is an auto camp trailer. It was manufactured in Saginaw, Michigan in 1927. You might think that's pretty early, but the company was actually founded in 1916. They started making essentially the same camp trailer. It's interesting to note that the three earliest trailer manufacturers were all located in Michigan just coincidentally. Auto Camp was in Saginaw, Zagelmeyer was in Bay City, and Claire Trailer was up in Clare, Michigan. And by 1916, put it into context, 1908 the Model T was introduced and people could finally afford a car to hit the road with. But more importantly, the Model T really allowed people to travel on the unimproved dirt roads that were across the nation. It was a pretty unstoppable car. The first thing that people did when they got a hold of their Model T was to figure out how to take a vacation. And when I say vacation, I'm not talking about a week in the summer. I'm talking about perhaps 3 months over the summer or in the winter going to Florida. So the idea of a vacation in 1920s was a little different than what we get the week off of work every year. Ultimately, the auto camp trailer was, like I said, first introduced in 1916. The company survived until 1939. This year represents the last year of the Model T, which was also 1927, so I use that as kind of a bookmark for my collection. The height of motor camping or motor touring, the popularity ran, the golden age was 1920 to 1930. There were some factors that precipitated its demise, but ultimately the auto camp trailer was offered to the public, and some of the advertising literature says starting at $98, and people thought, well gee, for $98 you got a pretty deluxe outfit. For $98 you got a box with 2 wheels on it. This unit here in 1927 sold for $345. There's one model higher than this, the Model 5, which is essentially the same rig with a canvas bungalow front room that snaps onto the front of the tent. The trailer itself, like I said, is pretty basic. It's a wood box. A couple features of the auto camp that really kind of separated it out from other manufacturers. One is that the 2 beds that fold out from the center portion of it are spring steel beds. And they also have wool felt mattresses on them. So it's a very comfortable sleep. The framework is a series of sticks that's set up, and then the canvas tent stretches over it, much like the other manufacturers. A couple other selling points that the auto camp had. Under the floor of the trailer, or the bed of the trailer, there are 2 drawers. The 2 hatches open. On the right side is a drawer for your dry groceries. On the left side is a galvanized ice box. It has an compartment for a block of ice and a drain hole. In fact, you can see my ice draining out on the concrete even today. Another unique feature, just simple construction, the tailgate of the trailer itself, when it's folded up, there's your license plate, but when it folds down, you have a step up into the trailer. And then, like I said, these hatches open up, and there's the drawers. The drawers are about 3 foot deep. Now, the running gear of the trailer was standard Model T issue parts. The axle is a square drop forge axle. It has tapered ends, but the hubs, the wheels, the spokes, even the hubcaps on this unit are all standard Model T issue. And the reason being is you were towing a Model T or driving a Model T down the road, towing an auto camp trailer, and you threw a bearing or broke a wheel. You couldn't go to the auto camp dealer because there weren't any. You went to the Ford agency, and literally off the rack shelf parts cut you back on the road. Even the tires are standard issue 30 by 3.5 Model T tires and tubes. So the thinking of the early trailer manufacturers was to make them as universal as possible. And once again, by the 20s, half of all the cars on the road were Ford Model Ts. So they were right thinking in terms of that. The trailer itself, once it's folded up on the one display there's a couple advertising shots of it folded up for the road. But the sticks come off, the tent folds up, the two beds fold inside, and it essentially ends up to be about a 6 by 4 foot box. And it all packs into itself. Now the other accoutrements that I have here, I'm traveling pretty heavy, so I show a lot of maybe redundant things. But when you bought the AutoCamp trailer, it came with a few important, not options, but standard issue features. One, there was an electric light fixture that hung from the center pole, had a cord that ran down and plugged into your light socket on your Model T. It also had a fold-up wooden table that was cut down so you could sit inside the trailer on the bunks and have a dining level table. It also came with this stove. This is the American Camp Cook Model 7. These were made by another company, but this was the state-of-the-art stove at the time, very substantial. But this came also with the standard trailer issue stuff. The only other thing that you could get with it, which I don't have yet, it's in fabrication, was an electric taillight. And keep in mind that even the automobiles didn't have a lot of taillight systems at the time. So the taillight on the AutoCamp trailer was a brass tube that held a 6-volt dry cell radio battery, a couple wires, and a lamp. And that would go onto the side of the trailer. And then if you wanted to turn it on, you hooked up the wire, your light was on. When you wanted to turn it off, you unhooked the wire, as sophisticated as that was. It's never wired into the auto system. That was just unheard of at the time. In fact, I show a license plate on the trailer. It's a 1927 Michigan trailer license plate. A lot of trailers in the 20s went unlicensed. There was just no real reinforcement of that. People could buy the plate, but a lot of trailers went down the road without a plate on them. Now the other equipment that I show around here, it's a kind of a smattering of a lot of different manufacturers. We'll talk a little bit about each one. Gold Metal Folding Furniture Company in Racine, Wisconsin made their fame and fortune in the Spanish-American War supplying cots and stretchers to the United States Army. They also had the contract for those items in World War I, and after World War I ended, Gold Metal was sitting around with a lot of hickory wood and a lot of canvas, but no market anymore. So they figured out to get into the motor camping business. And there's a couple items of Gold Metal note here. One is this table is a Gold Metal Model 7. It folds up into a box about 5 by 7 inches by 3 foot long. The legs fold up inside like an umbrella, and the shelf comes out and folds flat. Pretty ingenious. Another interesting note for Gold Metal furniture is this chair back here that we all know as a director's chair. Gold Metal held 3 different patents on that chair. There was a patent on the design of the leg, a patent on the arm joinery, and there was another patent in the type of spindle that they used. But they produced that chair. It was originally called the folding camp chair. Why do we know it as a director's chair? You can go down to Pier 1 and buy them now for 10 bucks. In the 20s, Hollywood started to go on location, and all the directors specified, I need a Gold Metal chair to sit in, because it was the finest folding chair you could get. Hence, they became known as director's chairs. Another interesting thing that Gold Metal made in this exhibit is the bathtub to the right of the tent trailer there. That's a Gold Metal folding camp bathtub. You might recognize the frame. It's the same frame that they used on their cots, and instead of stretching canvas across the top, that's a rubberized canvas bag that's actually rests on the ground. And a lot of people say, well, how in the world would you fill that up with water? Keep in mind, when we took a bath in 1920, it was a lot different than taking a bath today. You didn't use 50 gallons of water. You heated up a couple buckets worth of water on your campfire or your stove. You sat in that tub. You first used the first bucket to wash, the second bucket to rinse. You got out of the tub, tipped it on end, and emptied out a couple gallons of water onto the ground. But that was kind of the epitome of high-end luxury camping, was to have your own bathtub.